The great hall of the Galactic Council trembled, not from earthquakes or stellar winds, but from something far more dangerous. The quiet fury of Ambassador Sarah Chen. Her small human frame stood rigid at the obsidian podium, facing a semicircle of alien delegates that stretched up into the shadowy heights of the chamber. 12 different species, hundreds of representatives, all of them watching her with eyes that glowed, blinked, or swiveled in ways that would have terrified her grandmother back on Earth. But Sarah wasn't terrified. She was done. For the last time, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the translator matrix, humanity will not comply with Resolution 847 Alpha. A ripple of unease passed through the assembled delegates. The Vorthak representative, a towering insectoid with razor-sharp mandibles, clicked disapprovingly. Ambassador Chen, your species must understand the necessity of population controls. Your expansion rate is concerning. Sarah's laugh was bitter. Concerning? We've colonized 17 worlds in 50 years. The hegemony conquered 43 systems in the same period. But somehow we're the threat. The hegemony has existed for millennia, hissed Counselor Zexithera, her serpentine form coiling behind her speaking dais. They have earned their territory. Humans are new, unpredictable. Your rapid growth must be managed. Managed. Sarah repeated the word like it tasted of poison. You mean controlled, limited, caged. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of life support systems and the occasional chittering of nervous delegates. Sarah's pulse hammered against her throat, but her voice remained steady. This moment had been building for months. Every condescending smile, every casual dismissal of human concerns, every vote that treated her people like children who couldn't be trusted with sharp objects. You want to know what's unpredictable? Sarah continued, reaching into her diplomatic pouch. This. She pulled out a small device, chrome and blue, no bigger than her palm. Half the delegates leaned forward. The other half leaned back. This is a human invention we call a resignation letter, she said, holding up the device. We're withdrawing from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. We're canceling all treaties, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. As of this moment, humanity operates independently. The silence that followed was deafening. Then the chamber erupted. The crystalline collective's representatives began chiming in harmonic panic. The hegemony delegates roared in outrage. The insectoid Vorthak started clicking so rapidly it sounded like machine gun fire. But Counselor Zexithara remained calm, her yellow eyes fixed on Sarah with predatory focus. You cannot simply leave, Ambassador. The consequences would be severe. Are you threatening us? Sarah asked. I am stating facts. Without council protection, your species becomes vulnerable. Pirates, raiders, hostile neighbors. The galaxy is not kind to the unprotected. Sarah smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. Counselor, you seem to be operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about humans, which is, you think we need your protection? Sarah's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, but somehow every being in the chamber heard her clearly. You're about to learn why that's wrong. She pressed the device in her hand. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. Signal sent, she announced. Fleet Admiral Rodriguez has been authorized to begin Operation Exodus. All human military assets are withdrawing from joint operations immediately. All human civilians are being evacuated from Council space within the next 72 hours. The hegemony's war chief, a massive bear-like creature covered in ceremonial scars, stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. You dare mobilize your fleet without Council approval? We don't need your approval anymore, Sarah said. Haven't you been listening? She began walking toward the chamber's exit, her footsteps echoing in the sudden quiet. At the great doors, she paused and looked back. Oh, and Counselor Zexithara, you mentioned that the galaxy isn't kind to the unprotected. You might want to remember that the next time you're dealing with humans. Her smile was sharp as broken glass. We wrote the book on not being kind. The doors sealed behind her with a sound like thunder. In the chamber, 12 species sat in stunned silence, suddenly aware that they had just made a very, very dangerous enemy. Chapter 2. The Price of Arrogance. 3 days after Sarah Chen walked out of the Galactic Council, the first reports began filtering in. Counselor Zexathara coiled nervously around her meditation crystal in her private chambers aboard the council station. The reports lay scattered across her desk like accusations: shipping manifests, military dispatches, economic projections, all of them painting the same terrifying picture. A soft chime announced a visitor. "Enter," she hissed. War Chief Braktok of the hegemony stomped through the door, his massive frame barely fitting through the opening. His ceremonial armor clanked with each heavy step, and his small black eyes burned with frustration. "Have you seen the reports?" he growled without preamble. "I have seen them." Zexthara's tongue flicked out nervously. "The humans are thorough." Thorough was an understatement. In 72 hours, humanity had executed the most comprehensive withdrawal in galactic history. Every human civilian evacuated from Council, space. Every human ship recalled from joint patrols. Every human diplomat, scientist, engineer, and trader had simply vanished. They took their technology with them, Braktok said, throwing himself into a reinforced chair that groaned under his weight. "Do you understand what that means?" Zexthara understood perfectly. Human technology had become integral to Council operations over the past 50 years. Their medical scanners were 30% more efficient than anything else available. Their faster-than-light communication systems had revolutionized interstellar coordination. Their agricultural techniques had ended famine on a dozen worlds, and now it was all gone. "The real problem," she said slowly, "is not what they took. It is what they know." Braktok's growl deepened. "Explain." "Humans have been part of every major Council initiative for 5 decades. They know our military capabilities, our trade routes, our diplomatic weaknesses. They have detailed intelligence on every member species. And we know theirs," Braktok pointed out. "Do we?" Zexthara pulled up a holographic display showing human military assets. "Look at these numbers, War Chief. Really look at them." The display showed humanity's known fleet strength. 847 warships, ranging from small patrol craft to massive dreadnoughts. Impressive for a young species, but hardly threatening to the combined might of the Council. "I see ships," Braktok said. "Many ships, but not enough to challenge the Council. These are the ships they reported to us," Zexathara said. "The ships they allowed us to see. But consider this. Humanity colonized 17 worlds in 50 years. They built cities for billions of people. They established trade networks across hundreds of light years. Do you really believe they did all of that with only 847 warships?" Braktok's expression slowly changed as the implication sank in. "You think they've been hiding ships? I think they've been hiding everything." Zexathara's scales shimmered with agitation. Population numbers, industrial capacity, technological advancement. We assumed they were being honest because, why would they lie? Because they're clever, Braktok admitted grudgingly. More clever than we gave them credit for. A new chime interrupted them. This time the visitor was Counselor Vexhai of the Crystalline Collective, her translucent form humming with distress harmonics. "We have a problem," she announced without preamble, her voice like wind chimes in a storm. "The Outer Rim." Zexathara and Braktok exchanged glances. The Outer Rim was Council space in name only, a collection of barely defended systems on the galaxy's edge, protected primarily by the reputation of Council might and the occasional patrol. "What about it?" Braktok asked. 3 systems have gone dark. No response to communication attempts. Long-range sensors show no signs of battle, no debris fields. The populations are simply gone. "Pirates?" Zexthara suggested, though her tone suggested she didn't believe it. Pirates don't have the capability to evacuate entire star systems without a trace, Vexhai replied. But humans do. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of life support and Vexhai's distressed chiming. They're recruiting, Braktok said, finally. The humans are offering something better than council membership to the Rim worlds. Freedom, Zexthera whispered. They're offering freedom from council oversight, from our taxes, our regulations, our management. And if the Rim worlds are listening, Vexhai added, how long before the core worlds start wondering what they might be missing? The three counselors looked at each other, the same thought echoing in their minds. What have we done? Outside the station's massive viewports, stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, indifferent to the fears of those who thought they ruled them. And somewhere in that vast darkness, humanity was making new plans, plans that didn't include asking permission. Chapter 3. The human alternative Captain Maria Santos had never seen anything like the Kepler station construction site. The skeletal framework stretched for hundreds of kilometers, a growing giant of metal and ceramic that would dwarf any structure the Galactic Council had ever built. How long until completion? She asked, watching human engineering crews swarm over the massive beams like industrious ants. Admiral Rodriguez floated beside her in the observation deck's zero gravity, his weathered face creased with satisfaction. 18 months for full operation, 6 months for basic function. He gestured toward the growing station. When it's finished, it'll house 50 million people and coordinate activities across the entire Perseus arm. The Council won't like that. The Council can go to hell. Rodriguez's tone was matter of fact. They had their chance to treat us as equals. Now they get to watch us become their superiors. Maria had to admire the scope of humanity's response to their council expulsion. In the 6 months since Ambassador Chen's dramatic exit, humans had revealed projects that made their former allies realize just how badly they'd been underestimated. Kepler Station was just one of 12 similar structures under construction. New colonies were being established at a rate that made their previous expansion look sluggish. And most impressive of all, humanity's true fleet strength was finally becoming apparent. Admiral, Lieutenant Kim called from the communications station. We're receiving a priority message from the Altair system. Put it through. The hologram that materialized showed Colonel James Wright, commander of humanity's newest recruitment effort. His expression was grim but determined. Admiral, we've got movement in the Vega sector. Council ships are massing. Looks like they're planning something big. Rodriguez's expression didn't change. How big? Fifth Fleet, maybe larger. Intelligence suggests they're preparing to retake some of the systems that defected to us. Let them come, Rodriguez said. It's time they learned what happens when you corner a human. Maria felt a chill at the Admiral's tone. She'd served with humans long enough to recognize that particular combination of calm and fury. It usually preceded something spectacular and terrible. Sir, she said carefully, are we really prepared for open warfare with the Council? Rodriguez turned to her, and for a moment she saw past his facade to the anger beneath. Captain, do you know what Resolution 847 Alpha actually said? Population controls, resource limitations. It said we were allowed to have children only, with Council permission. Rodriguez interrupted. It said our settlements could only grow to Council-approved sizes. It said human expansion would be regulated, monitored, and controlled by beings who think we're too dangerous to be free. His voice grew harder with each word. They didn't want to manage us, Captain. They wanted to own us, to turn us into another client species, grateful for scraps from their table. Maria nodded slowly. She'd read the resolution, but she was beginning to understand it differently now. So when they come for the defector systems, she asked, they'll find out why predators shouldn't hunt pack animals. Rodriguez smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression, especially when the pack has been planning for this fight since the day we joined the Council. We've been planning that long? Captain, humans didn't survive ice ages, plagues, wars, and near-extinction events by hoping other people would be nice to us. We survived by being prepared for the worst-case scenario. Rodriguez pulled up a tactical display that made Maria's breath catch. The hologram showed human military assets scattered across dozens of systems, but not the assets the Council knew about. These were hidden shipyards, secret research facilities, cloaked defense platforms, and fleets that existed in no official records. "How long have we been building this?" Maria whispered. "Since day one," Rodriguez admitted. "We joined the Council, hoping for the best, but we prepared for the inevitable. Because there's one thing about humans that aliens never seem to understand, which is, we don't trust easily. And when our trust is betrayed..." He gestured toward the display showing humanity's true strength. "We make sure it never happens again." A new alarm chimed through the observation deck. Lieutenant Kim looked up from his station, his face pale. "Admiral, priority flash from Earth Central Command. The Council has issued an ultimatum. All human colonies have 72 hours to return to Council authority or face pacification measures." Rodriguez's smile grew wider and more predatory. "Well, Captain Santos, looks like we won't have to wait much longer to see how this plays out." "Orders, sir? Send a message to all human fleets. Execute Operation Sovereignty. It's time to show the Council what happens when you threaten a human's family." Maria felt her pulse quicken. Operation Sovereignty. She'd heard whispers about it, but never the details. Now she was about to find out what 50 years of human preparation looked like when unleashed. In the distance, construction. Crews continued their work on Kepler Station, building humanity's future one beam at a time. But Maria suspected that very soon, they'd be building something else entirely. A new galactic order, one where humans weren't asking for permission anymore. Chapter 4. The Pack Unleashed. The Battle of Proxima Centauri began at Aero 347 Galactic. Standard time when Counselor Zexthera's Fifth Fleet dropped out of hyperspace expecting to find a lightly defended human colony ripe for reconquest. Instead, they found hell waiting for them. Admiral Rodriguez watched the tactical display from the bridge of the dreadnought Indomitable, humanity's flagship that the Council didn't know existed. Around him, his crew worked with the calm efficiency of people who had drilled for this moment their entire careers. "Enemy fleet composition?" he asked. 47 capital ships, 132 escorts, reported Commander Liu. "Standard Council formation. They're not expecting significant resistance." Rodriguez almost felt sorry for them. Almost. "Our strength?" "First through third human battle groups are in position. That's 96 capital ships, 300, and 14 escorts plus the orbital defense platforms. And they still don't see us? Stealth systems are holding. They think they're facing a few patrol boats and civilian traffic." Rodriguez nodded. 50 years of human paranoia was about to pay dividends. While the Council had been content with their superiority, humans had been developing technology they'd never shared. Cloaking systems, weapons that bent physics in uncomfortable ways, and most importantly, the ability to coordinate fleets across impossible distances in real time. "Admiral," came a new voice from the communications station. "We're receiving a transmission from the Council fleet. They want to speak with you." "Put it through." The hologram that materialized showed Counselor Zexthera herself, her serpentine form coiled around her command throne. Her yellow eyes burned with righteous fury. "Human Admiral," she hissed. I am Counselor Zexthera of the Galactic Council. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be taken into custody for crimes against galactic peace." Rodriguez stepped forward, allowing the transmission to show his face clearly. "Counselor, I'm Admiral Elena Rodriguez of the Human Colonial Defense Force. I'm afraid I can't comply with your request. You have no choice. Surrender now and your people will be treated with mercy." "Mercy?" Rodriguez's laugh was cold. "Like the mercy you showed when you tried to limit our children? Like the mercy in Resolution 847 Alpha?" Zexthera's scales rippled with agitation. "Your species requires guidance. You expand too quickly, breed too rapidly. You must be controlled before you become a threat to galactic stability." "Counselor," Rodriguez said quietly, We already are a threat to galactic stability. You just never bothered to notice." She gestured to her tactical officer, and the stealth systems shut down. Sexithara's expression transformed from arrogance to horror as her sensors suddenly registered the true scope of human forces. Where moments before she had seen empty space, now her displays showed a wall of human ships that outnumbered her fleet 3-1. "Impossible," she whispered. "You made a fundamental error in judgment," Rodriguez continued. "You assumed humans were like other species, content to accept limits, willing to be managed, grateful for your guidance. But humans don't work that way." More ships began decloaking, not just around Proxima Centauri, but throughout the system. Defense platforms the size of small moons powered up weapons that made the Council's best artillery look like children's toys. "When humans feel threatened," Rodriguez said, "we don't submit, we prepare. And when humans prepare for war—" She smiled, and it was terrible to behold. "We prepare to win." "This is madness," Zexthara's voice cracked. "You cannot fight the entire council." "We're not fighting the entire council," Rodriguez replied. "We're fighting you, the hegemony. The species that think might makes right. But more than half your member worlds are watching this battle right now, Counselor. They're wondering what would happen if they said no to your demands too." On his tactical display, Rodriguez could see the council fleet beginning to maneuver defensively. "Too little, too late. You want to know the difference between humans and every other species in the galaxy?" Rodriguez asked. "Other species evolve to fit their environment. Humans evolve their environment to fit them. You tried to make us fit your system, but we've been busy building our own. Last chance, Counselor. Withdraw your fleet. Acknowledge human independence, and we'll let you leave with your ships intact." Zexithara's response was predictable. Her fleet opened fire. Rodriguez sighed. "So be it. All ships, weapons free. Show them what humans do to bullies." The Battle of Proxima Centauri lasted exactly 14 minutes. When it was over, Zexithara's mighty Fifth Fleet was scattered wreckage drifting through space. The Counselor herself was dead, her command ship vaporized by weapons that shouldn't have existed according to Council science. But more importantly, the battle had been broadcast across the galaxy. Every world, every species, every being with access to communications had watched the Council's most powerful fleet destroyed by the humans they'd tried to control. And in the aftermath, something unprecedented began to happen. System after system began declaring independence, not just human colonies, but alien worlds that had chafed under Council rule for centuries. The Rigel system, the Outer Rim territories. Even some core worlds started questioning why they needed Council protection. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display as humanity's true fleet revealed itself across the galaxy. Hidden shipyards, secret colonies, defense networks that had been built in shadow while the Council assumed humans were helpless children. "Admiral," Commander Liu reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 Council fleets. They're asking for terms." "No terms," Rodriguez replied. "Full withdrawal from human space and recognition of our independence. They can keep their council for whoever still wants it, but they don't get to tell us how to live anymore." "And if they refuse?" Rodriguez looked out at the wreckage of the Fifth Fleet, thinking about Ambassador Chen's words 6 months ago. The galaxy wasn't kind to the unprotected, but it was about to learn that it was even less kind to those who threatened humanity's children. "Then we remind them why humans survived when stronger species went extinct," she said. "We adapt, we overcome, and we never ever give up." In the depths of space, humanity's hidden fleets began moving toward Council space. Not as conquerors, but as liberators, offering every oppressed world the same choice Ambassador Chen had made, the choice to be free. Epilogue: New Foundations. 1 year later. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, watching ships from 47 different species dock at humanity's newest diplomatic hub. The irony wasn't lost on her. A year ago, she'd walked out of the Galactic Council in fury. Now she was helping to build something better. The Centauri delegation has agreed to the Mutual Defense Pact, reported her aide, Marcus Webb, a young diplomat who joined the service after humanity's victory at Proxima Centauri. That makes 31 species in the coalition. Sarah nodded, still watching the ships. Each one represented a world that had chosen freedom over security, independence over council protection. The human coalition wasn't trying to replace the old system. It was trying to build something entirely new. "Any word from the council remnants?" she asked. "The same as always. They're calling us a rogue state and demanding we return to legitimate galactic authority." Marcus's tone suggested what he thought of that. They still control about 60% of their original territory, but they're hemorrhaging members every month. And Admiral Rodriguez? The fleet is maintaining patrols along the neutral zone. No incidents this week, but intelligence suggests the hegemony is building up for another attempt. Sarah sighed. Some species, it seemed, never learned. The hegemony and their remaining allies couldn't accept that their galaxy-spanning empire was crumbling. They kept trying to reclaim lost territory by force, only to discover that humanity's friends fought with the same ferocity that humans did. "Ambassador?" Marcus looked uncertain. "Do you think we did the right thing? Walking away from the council, I mean. Starting this war?" Sarah considered the question seriously. It was one she'd asked herself many times during the sleepless nights. After Proxima Centauri, when the casualty reports came in and she realized that her resignation had triggered a galactic civil war. "Marcus," she said finally, "what do you think would have happened if we'd stayed? If we'd accepted Resolution 847 Alpha and let them limit our population, control our expansion, decide our future?" "We'd have been safe," he said, though his tone suggested he didn't believe it. "We'd have been slaves," Sarah corrected. "Comfortable slaves, maybe, but slaves nonetheless. And eventually they'd have demanded more. More restrictions, more controls, more limits on what it means to be human." She gestured toward the docking bays, where human children played alongside young beings from a dozen different species. "Look at that, Marcus. Kids who'll grow up thinking that freedom is normal, that species can cooperate without one dominating the others. That's worth fighting for. Even if it means war? Especially if it means war." Sarah's voice grew hard. "Humans learned long ago that some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. The right to choose your own path is another." A soft chime announced an incoming message. Marcus checked his tablet and smiled. "Ma'am, it's from Admiral Rodriguez. The Kepler station is officially online. Full operational capacity." Sarah felt a surge of satisfaction. Kepler station was more than a space habitat. It was a symbol, proof that humans could build something magnificent when they weren't asking for permission first. And the industrial output from the hidden colonies? Exceeding projections by 20%. We'll have 5 new dreadnoughts commissioned by next month, plus the orbital defense platforms for the Rigel system. Sarah nodded. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about human nature. When threatened, humans didn't just fight back. They built the infrastructure to ensure they'd never be threatened the same way again. "Ambassador," Marcus said quietly, "do you think we'll ever have peace again?" Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking about the species that had chosen freedom and the ones that still clung to the old ways. "Peace? Maybe, but not the peace we had before. That was built on submission and fear. If we get peace again, it'll be because we're strong enough to defend it." She turned away from the viewport and headed toward her office. There were reports to read, treaties to negotiate, and a new kind of civilization to build. It wasn't going to be easy. Freedom never was. But it was going to be worth it. In the depths of space, human ships patrolled the borders of the coalition, vigilant guardians of a new age. Behind them, colonies grew and prospered without asking permission. Ahead of them, the galaxy stretched vast and full of possibilities, and everywhere the message was clear. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as subjects or clients, but as equals. They had paid the price for freedom in blood and steel, and they would never give it up again. The age of human deference was over. The age of human sovereignty had begun. In the end, humans didn't ask to be free. They simply decided to be. From the Coalition Wars: A History by Dr. Elena Vasquez, published 2387. The End.